I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. It's too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it. Boy, all that like Keenan. Still got crack, they fiendin'. Flow still hot like Phoenix. Shine so bright, I'm gleaming. This off top, I'm tweaking. Fresh out the rat like Neiman. And I'm still tryna fight my demons. Cause y'all gotta act like Tina. That's why I gotta ride with the Nina. Outside, it's a war going on. Make me put my hands on my head like the Macarena. They want you walking on board like Kima. Ain't give a F to you like John Cena. Putting blood on the brand new Beamer. Tryna earn they stripes like Adidas. You get cold when you ride with the heater. It'll turn you to a dog like a Keeta. And expose to a cat like a cheetah. They smoke my partner like reefer. Dímelo porque o no entiendo. Mi gente must really need Jesus. They shed real blood. I never seen the crypt and I believe it. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. It's too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the WAG Show. This is episode 6 of the WAG Show. I'm your host, Ben Hostler. If you guys were joining, you were hoping Travis would be here. He is not here. He's still injured. He did make it back safely from Vegas, but you're still stuck with me for this week. So we're here to talk about our best bets for Monday, February 20th. I feel really, really weird with no NBA going on. The NBA is unlike baseball. I feel like when we get the MLB All-Star break, kind of like when the NFL ends, it's kind of like you have college basketball and the NBA. That's the only things going on right now. I mean, you have hockey, but it's just I don't have time enough to pay attention deeply to hockey until we get to the playoffs. And then when you get to baseball, you know, in the middle of the summer, that's the only thing going on while we're waiting for the NFL to start up. But I feel like the baseball All-Star break is only, 3 days, 4 days. Like they call it the All-Star break, but I feel like they're really not off that long. The basketball, I mean, these dudes are off until Thursday. So we're going to be on here this week. We're going to be talking about some future stuff. Today, we're going to talk about a little college basketball. Tomorrow, we're going to talk college basketball and MLB futures. Wednesday, I'm going to talk about college basketball and MLB futures and golf. There's another good golf tournament this week. Hopefully, you guys watched that golf tournament over the weekend. That was absolutely awesome. I mean, Jon Rahm is just – I mean, if you don't think Jon Rahm's the best golfer in the world, I don't know what to tell you. He didn't even play up to his ability that whole tournament and still won. And then Thursday, Friday, we'll have NBA back to talk about. So if you guys have any bets you want me to talk about, drop them in the chat. I have a college basketball bet for tonight, which I'm going to give out here in a minute. And then we're going to talk a little March Madness preview as well. I mean, we're under a month away from arguably the best time of the year, I would say. The first week of March Madness is just it's just unmatched, in my opinion. So under a month away, so we're talking about March Madness. Matt says Donovan Mitchell won him some cash. He went absolutely off. I gave out 2 leans in Discord for the NBA All-Star game. Luka under points. I think his line was like 20.5, 21.5. He only scored 4. So that won. And then Donovan Mitchell over 3-pointers also won. I was a little bit disappointed that I know it's kind of tough to bet on the All-Star game with the format that they have with drafting the players right before the game, but there just wasn't a ton of stuff to bet on like even the sports books. I mean, DraftKings had some stuff, like player specials and stuff, like this player scored 30 plus points and stuff, but they just didn't have enough, in my opinion. I feel like they should have had more stuff to bet on. Bernie, what's up? If you guys are in here, like the video. Also, it does help us out. But I'm going to give this college basketball bet out in a little bit. We're going to talk about it because I want you guys in chat. I want your guys' thoughts on this bet. Let me pull this up here. So this is a free tool. You can see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching the video back. This is called our live trends page. You can access this for free every single day at betkarma.com. And it's for all sports, NFL, NBA, college basketball, whatever you guys are betting on. This provides you really invaluable data. It provides you, the bet percentage, handle percentage. You can see where the sharp money's coming in. And to my knowledge, we are the only website that gives this out for free, and you can access it every single day. I use this tool a ton. It's the first thing I look at every single morning when I sit down at my computer. I pop open the NBA slate and I run through the odds for the day and see what's going on. It's really, really useful tool, and you can access it. You just go to betkarma.com, click live trends, and then you can toggle right there on the left-hand side between the sports. So I have the college basketball numbers pulled up for today. College bets or props. This is a bet. You guys can talk to me more about the props. It's around now. I've said this before. It's around now when I get into college basketball. I think I've given out 6 total college bets this year, and we're 4-2 on them. So we do have a winning record on the college. The last one I gave out on Friday was just disastrous. We had Eastern Michigan plus 17.5 against Kent State. One, I think Kent State is like a really solid mid-major team. But, I mean, this guy, Amani Bates, man, if you guys – this guy shouldn't even go to the NBA. This guy had 0.5 points against Kent State. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that guy. He should go play in China or – I don't know, that Spanish league that's really big. There's no way if I'm an NBA team I would draft that freaking kid. And I'm not even trying to be a hater, but this guy was labeled the next Kevin Durant, and you're telling me he can't put the ball in the basket one time against Kent State in an entire half of basketball? I mean, what is going on? I was mind blown watching the game. And they actually they were actually in the game with him doing nothing until, I don't know, 10 minutes, and then it was chalked after that. Matt, you had Mitchell 25 plus at plus 225. Yeah, it's a good bet. Mitchell, I feel like I wanted to bet Tatum, Matt. I didn't end up doing it because I just couldn't really bring myself to bet on the NBA All-Star game. But it kind of felt to me like Tatum was going to really take it seriously. Now, obviously, I would have never expected him to score 50 points. But if I was going to bet the over, because I took the under on Luka, when I was looking at stuff, it was like if I was going to bet over on any players, like Mitchell and Tatum seemed like the best bets to me. All right, so I'm going to scroll down here. You can see that all the odds on the screen, and like I said, you guys can access this for free. There's a bunch of games tonight, but obviously the big game is Kansas and TCU, 9 o'clock. I want your guys' thoughts on this game. Because I think a lot of people are on TCU. But my bet for today is I'm just going to bet Kansas money line today. So I want your guys' thoughts on this. I understand why people are on TCU. But in my opinion, even on the road, if we lay out the case for TCU, this is a letdown spot for Kansas. I mean, they're coming off a huge second half, just destruction of Baylor. They're on the road, and as hot as they have been, TCU looks like a dominant team with Mike Miles in the lineup. I mean, I think their last games, they're 5-1 ATS with him in the lineup, and then 1-5 with him out. And then he comes back on Saturday, whatever that was, and they just pop for 100 points. I mean, they look really good with him, but it's really hard, in my opinion, to beat Kansas twice in one season, even with them being at home this game. I know they went on the road the first time, but Kansas is just rolling. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. If you look at the dichotomy of Kansas, I mean, go all the way back to, I think it was around January 20th, January 23rd. They lose to Baylor. There's like the clip of Bill Self on the sidelines, saying like they're better than us. And then we fast forward a month, and I mean, what they did to Baylor in the second half of that game was insane. So I think it's a good spot. Even on the road, even coming off the big win, I like Kansas tonight. I'm taking Kansas. I'm taking Kansas money line. Terry, you already bet Kansas. Thank you. I've actually seen, because I've been looking into college basketball today because I've actually had time, and I've actually seen a lot of people that I like even respect on TCU, and I understand it. I get the spot, but I like Kansas tonight. That's my pick for today. So if you guys want to tail, you got 1.5. I think it's still, yeah, I think it's still 1.5. Or at least it was, but yeah, I think it's still 1.5. It was the last time I checked. But I think it's a good spot for Kansas. I'll be betting them. If you guys want to tail, I'll be in the Discord sweating that game out tonight, so you guys can hop in for free. dfskarma.com/Discord if you want to get in. If you guys have any other college basketball bets for tonight, drop them in. I wanted to get a play for that game though, just because that's obviously that's the game of the night. Everyone will be watching it, but I'm rolling with Kansas tonight. And then I wanted to pull up the odds, so we can talk a little March Madness with that coming up. I wanted to pull the odds up for that. And we can talk about who you guys think are kind of like your early picks to win it all. I think there's quite a few teams that I'm just eliminating that I think have any chance to win. And I know Travis, if you're in here, Travis and I had a conversation a few weeks ago. Travis seems to be down on Houston. I think Houston's the best team in the country. Obviously, they're the favorite to win the title right now. But if Travis is in here, I would like his thoughts on Houston, if he's changed his mind at all, because he seemed pretty dead set that he did not like Houston. So I'm going to pull the odds up, and then we'll have a little conversation here. You guys post in here if you're watching. Houston wins the title. Thank you. See, Terry and me on the same page. He's on Kansas with me. He agrees with Houston being the best team. Let me pull the odds up. So here's the odds to win the national championship right now, FanDuel Sportsbook. If you guys haven't already signed up for FanDuel, if you're in a legal state, if you head to betkarma.com and go to the sportsbook promos, you can get like $1,000 bet risk-free over on FanDuel by signing up with our code, signing with our link, which is obviously you would want to take advantage of that. But Travis, I know, was against Houston. I think Houston's the best team in the country. But if we're looking at the odds here, we have Houston, Alabama, Kansas, Purdue, UCLA, Baylor, Arizona, Tennessee. That's the top 6 or 7. I think we can take Alabama and just get rid of them. I think Alabama's a top 5 team in the country. I might get some hate on this. I think Alabama's a top 5 team in the country, but they're so heavily reliant on their three-point shooting that, to me, if they're playing a 5-game series against a lot of these teams they're going to be up against, I think they would win for sure. But we're talking about 1-game sample sizes, and anything can happen in one game. So if they get in a Sweet 16, Elite 8 game, and they're just having a bad shooting day, like, they're probably going to lose. So I'm out on Alabama, even though I think they'll be a pretty trendy pick by the time we get to the brackets, barring them losing anybody due to injury. Purdue can get out of here as well. Purdue, notorious March choker. They always sell when it comes to March Madness. Zach Edey, he might be the best player in the country. I agree with that. And I know Dom, we had this conversation in Discord when Travis and I were talking about Houston. Dom has brought up that Edey does not foul a lot and he can stay out of foul trouble, but I don't care about what those numbers say. Like Alabama, I think that Purdue, if they played a 5-game series against a lot of the teams they'll be up against, they would win. But we're talking about one game. If they get in a Sweet 16 game, Elite 8 game, and Zach Edey gets in foul trouble, they're going to lose the game. And I don't want to bet on teams that are too heavily reliant on one thing, like Alabama with 3-point shooting, like Purdue with Zach Edey. I feel like it's easy, even if he doesn't foul a lot during the regular season. I think it's too easy for him in one game to get into foul trouble, and it just really messes up. Now, they might be able to get away with it if, it's the first round or something, but I don't know. That's my concern with Purdue. So I'm not taking Alabama. I'm not taking Purdue. I might get hate for that, and that's fine. You guys can have your own opinions. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm right. But I don't want anything to do with either of those teams. Tennessee can get out of here. Rick Barnes, historic choker in March Madness. They're not even top 50 in offensive efficiency on KenPom. Tennessee can get out of here. I think they're a trendy pick. I've seen a lot of people talking about Tennessee. Tennessee can get out of here. Virginia can get out of here. Don't want anything to do with Virginia. Same thing as Tennessee. They're just not good offensively. People will say, oh, but they won the title a few years ago. That was like an anomaly season for Virginia. They were super, super efficient offensive team, unlike anything we've seen from any other Virginia team. I actually was on. That was the years Duke had all those guys. I was actually on Virginia. I picked Virginia to win that season. So I'm not bringing you any bias, but that was an anomaly Virginia team that you're not. I don't know if you'll ever see something like that again with how good they were offensively. So Virginia, Tennessee, Purdue, and even Alabama, I think, are all out for me. So I don't know. If you guys are in the chat, let me know what your thoughts on that. Those four teams, I don't think are winning March Madness. So I will not be picking them. I think Houston's the clear favorite, which you'll see reflected in the betting odds. Kansas, I think, is solid all around. Tough to go back to back, but I think Kansas is solid, especially with how they've been playing recently. UCLA, very solid team altogether. I would be fine with them. I like Creighton. Creighton and UConn are kind of my two like under the radar teams. Not under the radar, but I mean they're both over 20-1 to win. So I would probably, if I was placing a bet right now, like if I had a free $100 free bet or something, I would pick UConn or Creighton just based off their current odds. But I think Houston's the clear favorite personally to win this year. You like Baylor? Baylor, I don't have a definitive take on them at the moment. I think they're fine. I don't mind them. I don't mind them. I think I would, if we're talking about betting, like I wouldn't bet them currently when I could get, UConn or Creighton at those odds. But once the brackets come out, like I wouldn't be shocked if I have Baylor going a decent ways. You like Xavier? No, that's a pass for me. No, I don't want anything to do with Xavier. Not on my list of teams currently that I'm interested in. Terry, you like Creighton? Yeah, I agree. Creighton, I think, is like I would rather bet on Creighton. I think if I had a free bet, like I don't know, I've placed a couple futures bets, but if they offered me like a free bet right now, I would think I would bet on Creighton over every other team just because they're 25-1, and I think that they actually have a legitimate chance to win. Kansas, yeah, Kansas is good, man. I mean, just top to bottom, really good team. I was actually on Kansas last year. I didn't have them in my main bracket, but I had them in my secondary one. And I actually won. This is pretty crazy. I actually won a bracket group last year when I had Kentucky as my champion because so many people picked Gonzaga, and I had Kansas to the title. And it wasn't like a big group. It was only like 15 people. But yeah, somehow I managed to win with my champion losing in the first round, which I didn't think was possible. Something else I want to do today, we're going to talk a little NFL futures as well. I put a TikTok out yesterday. If you guys follow us on TikTok, betkarma.com, we are halfway to 1,000 followers. So I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on our TikTok page before NFL starts next season. So obviously it just ended, so we have a good amount of time, but we're halfway there. We're just over 500 followers. So if you guys could go drop us a follow on TikTok at betkarma.com, we would appreciate it. But I'm going to pull up the Super Bowl odds. I put a video out yesterday. We were kind of talking about Super Bowl stuff in Discord. Anthony, of course, our CEO, is a completely biased Browns fan. So he was talking about Browns 40-1, to win the Super Bowl, which, I mean, I don't think is that bad, actually. I don't think the Browns could ever win the Super Bowl, but they are the exact type of team that I like to target if I'm placing futures bets. So let me pull this up. Super Bowl. Just bumped it to 530 TikTok followers. Thank you. We appreciate that. I'm gonna get fired if we don't get to 1,000 by the start of NFL. I'm gonna get fired. So, yeah, we gotta get that to 1,000. You had Gonzaga on a futures this year, but they won't do it. Yeah, I don't think you could do it this year. My problem with Gonzaga. So, and this goes with like Purdue, Tennessee. Like people will say like you can't say that it's like they always choke because it's especially today with the transfer portal and stuff, like teams, it's just different. You have different teams so often, but I mean, when a team like Gonzaga literally does this every year, like even when they've had the fact that they didn't win one of the last like 3 years with their teams, I don't think they'll ever win. How if they haven't won with one of those teams, how are they gonna win one? I don't understand. They do the same thing every year. Jags NFL future. Yeah, let me pull the odds up. All right. So here's the Super Bowl odds. So my take on this. Last year I had 3 coming into the season. I had 3. I normally wait. I'll wait till after the draft and like free agency and stuff, and then I'll pick my few teams to bet on. How I look at this is you're gonna have your money tied up for so long. There's no reason for you to bet any of the top 5-6 teams. Like if you're looking at this list, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Bengals, Niners, all are under 10 to 1 to win. I don't see any unless you're putting a substantial amount of money on one of those teams. There's just no reason to bet them at those odds. If anything, you would just wait for one of them to. If one of them had a bad start, you would be able to get them at better odds. A month into the season. So I'm not gonna really target any of those teams. So the 3 teams I had last year, I had the Chargers at 20 to 1, right when they traded for Khalil Mack. I had the 49ers at 18 to 1, and I had the Eagles at 25 to 1. So that was my 3 teams. So I like to look around that 20 to 1 or greater range. Terry, you said the Jags, who are at I think 28 to 1. 25 to 1 on FanDuel. I think they're 28 to 1 on DK, so you might be able to get a little bit better odds there. But that as a team, I think I would be comfortable betting on them. I'm not sure if they can win the Super Bowl, but that's the type of team I'll look to target. So in my opinion, I think that the trendy teams this year will be the New York Jets at 25 to 1 and the Detroit Lions. FanDuel has them at 25 to 1. I'm 90% sure when I looked at this last night on DraftKings and I made that video, they were 30 to 1. So again, you'll get better odds on DraftKings for a couple of these teams, I think. But I think the Jets and the Lions are going to be the trendy teams this year. The Jets, I think, are an avoid for me. They have this thing that like they appear to be a quarterback away, but they have a really bad offensive line. They do have offensive weapons, which is good. I think their defense is good. But I see similarities between the Jets and the Broncos last year, where it was kind of like the notion was like, oh, this Broncos team is stacked. They're going 500 with Drew Lock and Brett Rippon and Bridgewater and all these guys at quarterback. Like they're just a quarterback away. And then they make the big move for Russell Wilson. But coaching matters. And I don't think – I mean, Nathaniel Hackett, I think, was legitimately one of the worst NFL coaches I've ever seen. I don't think Robert Saleh is on that level. But I don't think it's a guarantee if the Jets get Derek Carr that they're just going to go win the Super Bowl. So for me personally, I think that the Jets are kind of on that Broncos wavelength. So I'm kind of out on them, especially if they're going to be trendy. The Lions is a little bit tough for me because, one, I like the Lions. I'm not like a Lions fan, but I like their team. They have good offensive skill players. They're gonna have Jamison Williams healthy for the whole offseason. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have 2 good running backs. DeAndre Swift is dynamic player that the NFL has, should he stay healthy. And they have a really, really good offensive line. So the concern with the Lions is just Jared Goff. But we saw Jared Goff play. I mean, Jared Goff has taken a team to the Super Bowl. And he played arguably the best football of his career last season on this Lions team. Now, they did win late in the season, last week in freezing cold weather in Green Bay. But I do have concerns with him having to go on the road in the playoffs in a cold weather game. Like, I would have those concerns. Now, that's months in the future. We have no idea who they would be playing. It could be in a dome. Like, there's a lot of factors at play. But that's like the knock that I would put on the Lions. But the Lions are a team typically that I would like to bet on because their offensive line is good. They have good weapons. I think they're well coached. They have an aggressive coach that's not that's not scared to make mistakes. He's going to go for it. So the Lions one's a little bit tougher. I think the Lions are definitely in consideration for me, similar to the Jaguars. I think the Lions and the Jaguars are, Terry, to your point of liking the Jags, I think they're similar teams. Jaguars certainly have a better quarterback, but I think the Lions might have a little bit better roster, but I don't know. I'd have to think about it. We'll have to see how it goes because the Lions do have 2 first-round picks, and a lot can happen. But the Jaguars, I think I would agree with. I could understand someone betting on them. One team that stuck out to me, you can see on here, the Denver Broncos, 35-1. So after they traded for Russ last year, coming into the season, they were 16-1 to win the Super Bowl. What has changed on that team other than they got a significant upgrade at head coach? I mean, we really can't overstate how bad Nathaniel Hackett was coaching that team. And now you're bringing in someone that has won a Super Bowl as a head coach. And I don't even think Sean Payton is like the end-all be-all of coaches. But if you're comparing Sean Payton to one of the worst head coaches that we've ever seen, that's a significant upgrade. So the only thing that's changed on this Broncos team is they got a significant coaching upgrade, and they've dropped from 16-1 to 35-1 to win the Super Bowl. So I think that there's value with the Denver Broncos. Obviously, Russ did not play up to his abilities last year, but it's really tough for us to know whether it's him declining, whether that's how bad Nathaniel Hackett was, or a combination of both. Like, it's really, really hard to like kind of just figure out what the true issue was there when it comes to Russell Wilson, whether it was him, the coaching, combination of both. But I will say the Saints, even in Sean Payton's last few seasons in New Orleans, with a completely washed up Drew Brees that could barely throw the ball downfield. I mean, there were times when you think back, times where even Saints fans were calling for Taysom Hill to start over Drew Brees. That's how bad Drew Brees was at the end of his career. And the Saints were still well in the mix, making the playoffs and stuff like that. So I think there's definite value at 35-1 on the Denver Broncos if you're looking for a team to bet on. To Anthony's point of the Cleveland Browns at 35-1, I do think there's some value there. Now, I don't know if the Browns – it's the Browns. Like, they're never going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know how else to say it. But, again, like the Lions, that's a team I like to bet on. The Browns are a better version of the Lions. They have a better quarterback. Even though he didn't play good last year, they have a better quarterback. They have a better defense. They have a really good offensive line. So if you're looking at things from the outside, there is value on the Browns at 35-1, but it's the Cleveland Browns, and they're not going to win the Super Bowl. So other than my two of Denver and Cleveland and maybe Detroit, who are some you guys like? I know Terry said Jags. Corey, Dolphins. Dolphins are interesting. 30-1. It all comes down to Tua, It all comes down to Tua. And I just can't confidently say that I expect him to be able to stay healthy. As unfortunate it is, I like Tua. But those injuries are so serious. It's like it's tough to expect them. It's tough to expect him to play an entire season. So if there was no concerns on Tua, I think the Dolphins would be up. like 20-1, probably closer to the Cowboys, like 15-1. But it's enough of a question that, yeah, I think there is some good value on that, because if he does stay healthy and they can play like they did last season, I mean, they still made the playoffs last year. Like, by the time you got towards the end of the season, those odds are going to be cut in half. So I probably won't bet it, but I agree, Corey, that the Dolphins probably isn't a terrible one. And if Travis was in here, I mean, he'll just be all over that, because if you guys don't know, Travis is a really big Dolphins fan. I don't think any of these other teams really have a shot. Vegas with a potential rookie quarterback is a no, especially with Josh McDaniels. Saints are a no. I think even if they get Derek Carr, that's a no. Vikings, I think, are a no with their current roster. Panthers, no. Patriots are a no. I will say the Patriots are a no, but I mean, I think Mac Jones gets such a bad rap, personally. I mean, when this guy was a rookie, he was one of the hottest things in the NFL. I know, like, people don't care about Pro Bowl, but he did make the Pro Bowl. He was having a really good year. And then he comes into last season, and he has Matt Patricia calling offensive plays for him. I mean, what do you guys expect is going to happen? He, on top of having Matt Patricia call offensive plays for him, he's throwing to Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar. Like, the guy has zero weapons, and someone that was so bad as a defensive coach. Like, do you guys remember that Nick Foles had one of the greatest games ever played in a Super Bowl on Matt Patricia's defense? Like, if you go and actually look at what quarterbacks do in the Super Bowl, it's historically pretty low scoring. Like, in terms of like the stats, like, quarterbacks, as much as you think of the NFL as a throwing league and like the crazy offensive numbers that get put up over the course of a season, crazy offensive numbers really don't get put up in these Super Bowl games. Even this year, Mahomes, they won the Super Bowl. He didn't even throw for 300 yards. And I know he was banged up, but this is what happens in these Super Bowls. And Matt Patricia allowed Nick Foles threw for like 500-something yards on him. I mean, absolutely insane. And for some reason, they let this guy call offensive plays. So you add that on top of just the severe lack of weapons that the Patriots have. So the Patriots are a no in terms of winning the Super Bowl. But I think that we're probably a little bit low on the Patriots if they can get some weapons and they don't have a defensive coach calling offensive plays. Terry, I'm actually glad you brought that up. I was going to say, I agree with you that the Steelers needed offensive line. But I was going to say, if I was going to take a shot on any of these 40-1 or more, I think it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers are the only one of these teams. Now, I don't think that they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think any of these teams are. But if I had to take a shot on one, I think it would be the Steelers, honestly. I think they have the best team overall, even though their offensive line is suspect. Yeah, I think the Steelers or Patriots would be the ones that I would bet on if I had to pick a crazy one. But for me, I'm in this range of Detroit, Denver, Cleveland. You could look at Jacksonville. Rams, I'm just off of. Packers are a no because I don't think they're going to have Aaron Rodgers. So that's a no. And I want to say Chargers at 20-1, but man, as much as it bums me out, I just can't really trust Brandon Staley at this point. I mean, I don't know how anyone can. So that's my Super Bowl picks. If you guys joined in late, we talked a little NFL futures today. We talked a little March Madness college basketball futures, kind of ran through teams that I like early for Super Bowl bets. I ran through teams that I think have a legit chance to win the national title in college basketball. I talked about some teams I'm lower on: Alabama, Tennessee, Purdue. Like, those are teams I don't really think have I don't want to say they don't have a chance to win, because they do, but teams that I'm pretty sure I'll be unlikely to pick deep in my brackets when I make them. And then gave out my college basketball bet of the day, which a few people in chat agreed with me, which I'm surprised because I thought I was going to get some hate on it because I saw so many people on TCU. But I'm rolling with Kansas money line tonight. I like Kansas over TCU. So that's my pick for the day. Thank you guys for watching today's stream. I appreciate it. You can access the tool, the live trends tool that I showed you guys at the beginning. You can access it for free daily at betkarma.com. And I kind of laid out the plan for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking college basketball and MLB futures. Wednesday, we're going to be talking college basketball, MLB futures, and golf bets for the Honda Classic. And then Thursday and Friday, we'll have NBA back. So you guys are stuck with me. No Travis. I'll be hosting all week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Thank you guys for watching today. If you have any further questions, I'll be in Discord all day. dfskarma.com/Discord. You can hop in for free. Good luck if you take Kansas with me tonight, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday.